There's a natural tendency for all of us as human beings to seek balance. There's a natural tendency to seek balance in everything that we do. In most instances, we're looking to have even distribution of our time. We want to find even distribution of our money, that we want to figure out ways to evenly distribute our attention to our kids and to various things that we're committed to. But the reality is, nothing is balanced. See, balance comes into place when you look backwards, right? So, what you did on Monday, and then what you did on Tuesday, and what you did on Wednesday, if you look at the things that you did each day of the week, at the end of the week, if you look back on it, it looks like you spent equal time doing everything. But the reality is, no, on Monday, you were completely locked into what you had to do Monday. Tuesday, you were completely locked in. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and so forth. That was the thing. It was never equal distribution from Monday through Friday or from every day of last week. It was each moment, each day, each event, each activity got your full attention. And then when you equal the time out and divide it by the time passed, it looks like it was balanced. But in the moment, it wasn't balanced. Just like right now, you're spending time with me. If you're listening to this video right now, whatever time you're listening to it, you and I are interacting right now. It wasn't that over this time period, I spent a certain amount of time with Mike, and we then balanced that time with some other YouTuber or podcaster, etc., and then with somebody else, and we spent equal time. Nothing is equal. Nothing is balanced. We are all into the moment, but then when we look back and divide the time up, it appears like we're balanced. Okay. There's this thing called the Pareto principle. Okay. And the Pareto principle is really where the term the 80-20 rule comes. The 80-20 rule is loosely stated as 80% of your production from 20% of your input, or 80% of your results come from 20% of your team, right? Meaning that the value, the overwhelming majority of what you get comes from a small percentage of your inputs, okay? And this whole inspiration came from a clip that I found where Young MC was a famous rapper who was the late 80s into the early 90s. His most his most famous song was, well, I'm trying to think, was it the most famous? Best friend Harry, brother Larry. In 5 days from now, we're gonna marry. Trying to think of the doggone name of the song. It slips my mind now. But Young MC was a very famous rapper back in the 80s and 90s. He also produced a few songs, Wild Thing, and with Tone Loc, and it's like a lot of different stuff. But what you'll hear in this clip is Young MC emphasized that the overwhelming majority of his wealth came from 2 or 3 songs that he produced. I want you to hear this clip, and then we'll come back and revisit this conversation on balance.
My contribution to Wild Thing was literally 35 minutes. My contribution to Funky Comedina was an hour. And my contribution to Bust a Move was an hour and a half. So 85% of my income since I was 20 came from less than 4 hours worth of work. 3 hours.
So Funky Comedina, Wild Thing, and Bust a Move. Bust a Move was the song that I was trying to think of what I was giving the lyrics to. But he emphasized that 85% of his income has come from 3 songs. And on those 3 songs, from a production perspective, he maybe contributed 3 to 4 hours total. See, when we think about wins and losses, when you look at someone who has achieved monumental success, We omit all the failures that they've had along the way because that one win overcame the 20 or 30 losses that they've had, right? Nobody looks at, a successful investor and all the misses that they had. They just look at the fact that this one investment was the thing that pretty much carried them forward, and every success that they've had thus far came from that one investment. Those losses pretty much got swallowed up by this one win. See, balance is something that we seek. Balance is something that we desire. I think, again, that's the human nature in all of us. But the reality is, success is not balanced, right? You're going to be all in and all out. You're going to have wins and losses. But when you do have that one win compensates for all the losses. And when you look at stories of individuals and you read the ups and downs of their life, that's why I always emphasize reading biographies, reading and really getting a deep dive into the full story of people that you look up to and or admire. And you start to realize that their life was not this slow, linear, upward trajectory. It was some ups, some downs, some ups, some downs, but one of those ups compensated for all of those downs. And that may have been one decision. And so when we start thinking about balance, and again, our desire is to keep it even, to keep it simple, to be balanced in our time, but nothing is ever balanced. I don't even like to use the concept of balance when coaching or encouraging or mentoring someone. I love the concept of homeostasis. Okay. So homeostasis is an internal process to match or to meet external forces, meaning whatever's going on inside is enough to combat those external forces. And so it's not about keeping things even and equal. It's more so about having what's necessary to meet what's coming. And that's what it's all about. And homeostasis, you can find it in the biology of plants and vegetation and all of that stuff. Things get back to this effective balance, but it's really not balanced. It's just an internal process to match an external force. And when it comes down to opportunities, when it comes down to wins and losses, it's not about trying to keep things equal and balanced. It's about figuring out what it is you're supposed to do, leaning all the way in, and knowing that at some point, something is going to be the thing that carries you. Right? It might be one job opportunity in which all these doors opened for you to then get to where it is you're supposed to go. But you forget about all those missed job opportunities or those jobs that sucked or that didn't result to anything. All of those things are somewhat forgotten about, even though they're part of the journey, because that one was the thing that opened up the door. It can be one decision. Sometimes the person you choose to marry is that one decision which opens up the floodgates to opportunity. Now, if it's the wrong person, it can open up the floodgates to challenges too, right? But the reality is sometimes it's one thing, not a balanced, narrative. It's one thing that leads to other things. And sometimes that one thing can carry you. That's why it's so important for us to be in the moment, to be fully locked into each moment, and for us to understand that what's coming is a result of what you do right now. And if you do what you're supposed to do right now, that thing may carry you into what's coming. It may create what's coming, or just like Young MC said, his 3 hours of work, 40 years ago have carried him to this point. That literally was his claim to fame. Some people might call him a one-hit wonder, and there's a negative connotation to that. But if I were him, I could care less, because what he just mentioned was the fact that this 3 hours of work, these 3 hits that he was involved in, have legitimately generated 5% of his income since the age of 20. That's powerful. So if that's what it is, call me a one-hit wonder, because if the thing hit that was supposed to hit, I'm okay with being noted or being, notorious for that thing. Because the whole point is this: Are you doing what it is you're called to do? And that is a moment to moment thing. I'm called to do this thing right now. I'm called to make this video right now. When this video is over, I'm on to something else. But it's all about being locked into what it is you're called to do, locked into the identity that was placed inside of you, and realizing that that may or may not jive with everyone else. Think about what Young MC talked about. 3 hours of work have led to 85% of his income since the age of 20. Somebody else might think that a musician has to be consistently doing this or consistently doing that. Well, he just showed you his path was a little different. Now, this doesn't mean that he doesn't have any work associated with what he's done, but the reality is that was his path, and it was very far from being balanced. And to me, that's a window into us understanding our journey, that our lives are not going to be equal and balanced. They're going to be ups, they're going to be downs. But the reality is, or the question is, are you locked into the moment? And are you willing to allow a moment to carry you forward? Because some moments are supposed to live here, other moments are supposed to carry you, maybe even for generations to come. You ever think about like generational wealth that gets passed down? How sometimes these things that are passed down for generations to come started from one specific decision, one action, one idea, one risk, one moment in which an individual was locked in. And now for 4 or 5, 6 generations, your family has been impacted. It's interesting to think about it like that, but it also helps you to realize the importance of one moment, right? Now, I think Myron Golden always, or he said years ago that, every principle, is like a slice of bread. There are two sides. So in that moment, thinking about the principle of the slice of bread with two sides, am I going to make the most of this moment, or am I going to let this moment pass? Because what if this moment was like a Young MC moment where 3 hours is going to lead to 85% of your income for the next 40 years? Or am I going to just let this thing pass and not be locked in and not do what I'm supposed to do? It's an interesting perspective, but I think we need to be radically obedient to what it is we're called to do in each specific moment. And if we're willing to do that, the future kind of takes care of itself. All right. Well, hey, y'all, go be blessed, well, and wise, and be the quarterback of your mindset. Until next time, I said it already. I said y'all be blessed, well, and wise already. I've been a couple of weeks off. We've been traveling a little bit. So I guess I'm repeating myself a little bit. But at the end of the day, y'all know my heart. Was they blame my head, not my heart? Yeah, that's what's all good. Y'all take care. I'll holler at you. Peace.